So again, we've got a question about the magic system, which I think when people mention Lightbringer is kind of the thing that everyone's kind of excited about. Everyone really, really likes. So
Mhm.
you've gradually been adding elements to this magic system. Is this something for the reader's benefit that you've kind of added slowly, or has it evolved in your mind as well as the series has progressed?
Well, this is it's partly for the reader's benefit, and it's partly for the book's benefit. Really, is I do magic a little differently than I think a lot of other fantasy authors do. A lot of fantasy authors, have a oh, there's magic in the world. It's so interesting. And then, like, at some point, you have somebody sit down and explain it to you. Like, here's how it works, Joe. And then they tell you how the magic works, and that's how it works. And I don't do that. I like to treat my magic the way that I've seen science work through history, and that is there's something really there. There's something that works. There are principles that are real. There's objective reality, but people don't necessarily understand them. So that's you look at the history of science, and Aristotle had a theory of gravity, and it was like calls to like. Water seeks its own level, and rock tries to go be with rock. So you test it out, and you pour out water, and it bowls up in a small place, and look, water seeks its own level, and you hold a rock and you let go of it. Well, it falls to the ground. Look, they're seeking their own level, and air seems to rise, etc. So like it works. And until you find out that it's wrong, he's wrong. That's not how it works exactly. And we're even finding out about this year, something came out about gravity waves, and like we're still finding out stuff about gravity. Like we were wrong, or we were wrong in little ways. And you can be right enough for things to work for you, but that doesn't mean you're actually understanding the underlying reality. And I wanted to show a magic system. Where people's what their beliefs that they have affect how they interpret the objective reality. So you have something like in the history of science, Galileo is studying the stars and stuff, and I think it's Kepler or somebody brings along the idea like, oh look, orbits are elliptical, and Galileo's like, that's garbage. Orbits just can't be elliptical. Like orbits have to be circles, because circles are perfect. And so he just rejects that data out of hand, even though obviously he's Galileo. He's very broad-minded. He's very interested in learning things, and he's certainly not, totally beholden to the church or anything. He's like, no, like orbits have to be circles, because look at a circle. What could be better than that? And so his understanding of reality affected, his future understanding of reality, and he had to reject it. So I wanted to bring a little bit of that flavor. I just thought that's really fascinating. I wanted to bring that to my magic. So the magic, the basic idea of the magic system is pretty simple, but then you start to layer things on it, and it gets very complicated. So the basic system, I guess, probably this is repeating for a bunch of your listeners, but it's like taking a candle, and if you have a candle and you burn it, it's a little more complicated than this, but basically you have a solid thing and it lets off heat and light. And I thought, well, what if you ran that backwards, and you took heat or light and you made it into a solid thing, and then the different spectra of and that solid stuff is called luxin in my world. Different spectra of magic would solidify into different kinds of materials. So I thought that's a really fun idea. And then I said, okay, well, if they're different kind of materials, they should have different weights. They should have different properties. They should have different smell. They should just be different from each other. So layering that whole system into a world that was already non-traditional, it wasn't a Western medieval society. Instead, we have sort of a Mediterranean society, which is way more complicated. Historically, there's just a lot of different cultures to work with. And then I wanted to do a different political system than just kings and queens. And so, like, all of a sudden, like, my expositional burdens for this world were just huge. And it's like, okay, I can't put in everything all at once. It's already, I like to write a really fast-paced book. So the Black Prism was already slower than I wanted it to be, just because it's like, okay, now I got to introduce this, and now you've got to understand this, and like you don't have to understand it perfectly. And I just went, okay, I'm going to leave some areas gray, and they'll be filled in later. And there's going to be things that the Chromaria has these official positions, and they're just wrong. Certainly I explored as I went. I thought, like for Peril, for what makes sense for these other colors, these extra colors that I haven't talked about. What makes sense for them to be like? And I tried to come up with new things that were outside of what I talked about. When we're talking about the heretical magic, the stuff that we don't talk about very much in Black Prism. What makes sense there with the reality that I've already sculpted for everything else? And, well, if somebody can kill you and leave no trace, that would probably be the kind of thing that would become heretical because it's very scary, right? and the magic hierarchy is going to be like, we don't want everybody to be afraid of us. That would be bad for all of us. So you few people, you're going to have to take it in the shorts because you're friggin' scary. And there's not that many of them, so the Chromaria doesn't need them. So they go, okay, let's just push it out. Plus, it's not, that's like an 8th color. And the Chromaria is very much about sort of the perfect circles. They're like, well, 7 is the holy number. So if you're talking about an 8th color, that's not a real color. We don't want to talk about that. And certain people are more tied to that than others, obviously, in the series. So and that was kind of the short version. So sorry.